Hi, everybody. Welcome to another Pilots and Drones podcast. I am your host, Kent, the coach Nerhus, and we're going to get right into it today. Are we going to go with FPV or are we going to go with the traditional GPS hold drone? That's the big question that a lot of people have when it comes to drones. And here at the Drone Champ Studios, at Drone Champs, we will teach you 100% how to get it in the air. Then you can end up at one of the Pilots and Drones Productions events, like we're having on August 7th out at the Golden West parking lot with the Foodie Fest and the off-road meetup called Desert to Sea, where we're going to have a line up a bunch of off-road trucks. Going to be a great time. Come on down again. That's August 7th, 2026, coming down 5 p.m. to 7 or 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. Racing starts at 6:30. But let's get down to it. Let's get down to the nitty gritty, right? This here versus this one here. Which one do you pick, right? Well, most people, they're going to start out with this one. They're going to start out with the GPS hold drone. It's a no-brainer. It's going to couple buttons. The drone's going to take off in the air. It's going to hold itself. It's going to float. It's going to do what it needs to do. You can take it up to 400 feet beyond, as long as it's legal, correct? And you can get some great pictures, some great videos. This drone right here, it has a sports mode, can go about 45 miles an hour. Going to get about 25 minutes of flight time, depending on how much wind is out there, dynamic movement, things like that. But you're going to get a good, decent amount of time of flight out of this. But once you take the video, once you take the picture, then what do? It can be a little melancholy sometimes if there's not a lot of action, especially if you're out there filming a mountainside or the ocean or something like that, and there's really not much going on after about 5-10 minutes of flight, and you're only with 10 minutes, you're only about halfway through the battery. So you still got another 10 minutes. So maybe come back and get some video there, or you're going to have to start flying around. But what about your next battery? What do you do with that one, right? You're like, oh man, I've already done all this. But if you're doing some sort of event or festival or something where there's a constant, consistent subject, then you're going to be able to keep relaying it over and over and over again, right? Now, let's get to this right here, FPV with the goggles and the cameras and the hardwired gear that it looks like. This bad boy right here is going to take time to fly. You just can't wake up in the morning, roll over, click yes on Amazon. It's in your house that afternoon, and you're flying later that evening. You might fly, but you're going to end up at Drone Champs real quick for repair. This is a little bit different of a scenario. This takes a lot of skill and talent and time. It's like a golf swing or a baseball bat swing. You got to be able to take the time. It's personalized. Every pilot flies differently. So again, you're going to have to find your groove, feel your groove, and see how it all works out. But it's going to take a lot of time. This is a 5-inch drone, and the way they measure that is tip to tip right here. It's 5 inches, right? So you have 3, and it can go lower, lower, lower. I do recommend starting out with a tiny whoop. I don't have an example in front of me right now. We could have that for the next one. But you want to start out small because you're going to crash a lot. And the thing is the parts, right? You're going to be paying for parts over and over and over again, right? For a flight controller on this or a stack on this, you're looking at anywhere between, for a cheap end one, $89 all the way up to $200, for the flight controller and the ESC combined. Now, the flight controller itself, they can run the same thing, right? They can be as expensive. They could go as low as, like, again, $50, and they could go all the way up to $200, $250. So again, the bigger the drone, the more cost it's going to be. The motors, right? You can buy a 4-pack for about $50 with the tiny whoops. These ones here, they're going to cost you about anywhere between, $17 to, $45 each, depending on which ones you get. The cameras, if you're running analog, they can be relatively cheap. anywhere between 15 to, again, they can run up into the hundreds of dollars. And a few other things, wiring, stuff like that. It can start getting a lot more pricey when it gets into the bigger drones. And again, remember, big tree fall hard. So if this drone here goes down, then it's going to go down hard, right? Because with this bad boy, you're going to be hitting, 70, 80 miles an hour, and it's going to go directly into the ground as hard as it can. Where with the GPS drone, you have a lot more controlled landing, right? It's gonna control itself. It's gonna come down slow, and it's gonna land. Again, you have less control over the power distribution with the DJI drone. Actually, you have almost no control. Where with this, you have all the power distribution, but you're only going to get anywhere between, realistically, 2.5 minutes to 4 minutes of flight out of this. I know people are going to say, "Oh, well, I get this, I get that." Look, that's like you're flying some sort of 7-inch or long range or some crap like that, right? This here, this 5-inch, if you're flying normally, 2.5, 3.5 minutes. That's what you're gonna get. And the goal is to get more batteries, right? The more batteries you have, the more flights you can get in. So again, this might feel a little safer, you have return to home. The FPV drones can do return to home as well. But again, you got to remember that you collect all the satellites before you take off, and sometimes those can take a while, and a lot of FPV people just flow and go. Where this drone here, it's going to give you what you need when it comes down to GPS hold and battery life. Battery management is a lot better on the DJIs than with the FPVs. The FPVs, it really professionalizes you. That's kind of the difference. You really got to know your rig, and you really got to know your numbers. So there's a little bit of difference here. There's nuance in everything, right? So with the cameras, this is gonna give you a really great camera option. This is a 1-inch Hasselblad sensor, and it's gonna do crystal clear stuff. But it's gonna be wide angle the whole time, right? So if you want to get a close subject, you really got to get close up on them and fly up in there. But you don't want to do that sometimes, right? You're like, oh, I don't want to get that. Or you want to chase a car or something and get real close up on it. Now with this, right, this has a digital camera on it. It's called a Cadix. It's a Vista. It's an older model for a digital system, but that's okay, because what you'll do is you'll slap on a GoPro or a DJI action cam, and you'll put it on top of it, and then that's the footage that you're going to pull. Unless you're using an 03 and an 04, then a DJI 03 unit or 04 unit, then you can get rid of the GoPro. But even in some instances, people still like using the GoPro for backup video or anything else. Sometimes the GoPro is better in lower light or in other situations as well. Now, this camera angle is going to be fixated, right? It's going to stay there. It's non-gimbaled. So if you tilt, the drone's going to tilt, the camera's going to tilt, everything's going to go with it, right? You go woo woo, it's going to go with it. Not with the GPS drone, right? GPS drone moves, right? The gimbal's going to stay there. It's going to stay right there on the subject as the drone shakes in the air. This uses centrifugal force, speed, and smoothness in order to capture the right video. But if you slow down, or if you get some pretty good gust of wind, this bad boy is going to go with it. So you just got to be careful. Each one has its own great characteristics to it. Now, with the FPV drone, you're going to be able to have a lot of different options when it comes to flight modes. Well, not really a lot of different options, but a lot more control. So you have manual mode, acro mode, and then horizon mode. So in manual mode, full manual, you're going to be able to duck dive and everything. And then, there's angle mode. I didn't mention angle mode. And then there's angle mode, which is going to give you a lot of options, but it's still going to try to make you flat a little bit, So So as you turn, it's going to fight you a little bit to keep it stabilized. It's a little bit of a stabilizer there. Where if you go full acro or full manual, it's going to whoop, take it right over. And horizon mode's really going to try to keep you flat, right? It's really going to try to keep you on the horizon, like a fake horizon or a false horizon, like they have in aviation and airplanes. It's going to try to keep you stable, right? So if you try to flip it or something like that, it's going to be a little bit more difficult. So those are the options that you get with the FPV drone. Now with the um, Mavic here, you're not going to get full manual mode and all that kind of stuff. You get sports mode, position hold mode, and then attitude mode. Where like sports mode, you're going to be able to go fast. Attitude mode, it's going to be able to give you a little bit more movement and things like that. And then obviously position hold mode, which is the most common, it's going to be able to give you that stable flight that you have there. So again, what makes this stable is the skill of the pilot. The skill of the pilot is going to determine how flat this flies and how well it does. That's why it takes a long time. You got to train, simulator, go out in the field, fly, crash, repeat, drone champs, and that's how it works with FPV. A lot of people quit FPV. Don't worry, you're not alone. It's a tough game, not easy to stick with. But if you can find yourself a good group out there, or if you end up coming to drone champs, we'll teach you how to do it. But again, it can be a little tough out there with the FPV community and some of the places where there might not be so many FPV pilots out there. Now, again, with the what kind of shots are you going to get with the FPV? You're going to get those dynamic shots. You're going to get up front. You're going to get on them. You're going to be able to have full control, rotation, all those kinds of things. You can get the big shots and float around and stuff like that, but it's not really the same. This is meant to go fast, dynamic flights and flow and go in and out of things and chase cars and catch up to airplanes and stuff like that, as long as it's legal. And uh, then with this drone, you're going to get a crystal clear picture. It's going to be a wide angle, and you're going to be able to move the gimbal up and down. You could do a straight nadir shot straight down, which would be very difficult with something like this. You'd have to go, full nadir. You're going full 90 with that, which is a little scary if you don't have the skills to do it. But this is going to be able to give you those other types of angles that you can get, smooth rotation shots, as well as some sports dynamic shots and things like that, but not really kind of like up on the back of, say, a skier's head or something like that. That's what they want sometimes. Now, when I say they, clients or directors or something like that. So again, both of these have space, right? Like you don't have to just be one and have to be the other. Actually, you should have both, to be honest. You should have both of these drones if you're doing commercial work, because you don't know what the work's going to call for. And sometimes they want this and all you need is this. And sometimes they think they want this and you show them this and they want this, right? This here is going to cost you more money than this one will. So it's because of talent, skill, labor, equipment, all those types of things. That's why this one's more expensive over this one, right? This one's more of a saturated market where you could get one of these at, Best Buy or off of eBay or something like that. Like I said, a couple clicks and you're good to go. This here, it's going to take you time. You have to stay up on it. It's not something that you could just walk away from. You know what I mean? So again, it's going to be different shots, and you just have to show the client or the customer, if you're doing commercial work, what it is that they want and what your capabilities are. So again, the pros and cons that we went over is mostly skill set, right? And equipment. Where with the FPV, you're going to have to add more equipment. It could get very expensive. I mean, you got to get GoPros. If you're flying your drone around cars or something like that, and a rock kicks up, hit your GoPro, hit your camera, you got to replace it, right? Where with something like this, you're going to tend to be up a lot higher. So the fact that the camera's going to get hit, not very likely, unless you crash into a tree or something like that. And then you can come on down to Drone Champs. We'll fix you up off of the 405 freeway and the 22 and Valley View right there in Garden Grove, California. Now, one of the things is this is a lot slower to deploy a lot of the time than this is. This, you switch the battery out, turns on, you see it, boom, boom, you're good to go. You know, you're up and flying. This, sometimes you just have to wait for the satellites to collect, and then you're off and ready to go. But if you're in an area where it's GPS denied or something like that, it can be really, really difficult. Sometimes you have to preload the maps, or you fly it in attitude mode, and then you just better be really, really skilled when it comes to that. This here, you're never going to have a restriction. The one con about that is you have to make sure that you're completely legal before you take off, right? So you have to have all your paperwork together. You got to check the apps before you fly aloft, everything under the sun, TFRs, all that, right? Before you take this bad boy off, because there's going to be no warning when you take this thing off. Where with this one, there's going to be, it might give you a warning, might not let you take off. You might need a software update or something like that. So those are the biggest pros and cons right there. Where this one might protect you a little bit more from running into an FAA issue, where this one here, you can end up in deep water if you just think you can, fly and have free reign over the skies, which that doesn't work out. Especially as a lot of people found out in the World Cup here in 2026. I believe they've already confiscated close to 100 to 600 drones or something like that. There's hundreds of them that they've done. So, and then also too, with the FPV, you got to buy a lot of extra equipment to make sure it's up to snuff. Where this one, you don't, right? It is what it is. It gives you what it's got. The limitations is that the parts, what they give you is what you get. Where with this one, you can upgrade, right? New antenna comes out, new camera comes out, new flight controller comes out, new VTX, like ELRS. Everyone was on TBS Crossfire. Now everyone's moving to ELRS, and you can switch out anytime you want. And we're gonna, damn it. Oops. Okay, and now we're on to, okay, it wants me to do hot takes. I don't know about hot takes, but okay. Does having a GPS drone make you a better pilot? No, it doesn't. Absolutely not. This here makes you a better pilot, hands down. There's no comparison. You can't pick this up and start flying it. The DJI, you can pick it up, fly it, no problem. This one here, this takes skill. These here is what separates the professionals from the novice, right? Like this here, this is not only is it your tool that you make money, it's almost a part of your personality. You work on it, you fly it, it makes you money. It's a great tool. Not to say that these aren't, but this is kind of like, okay, if I crash or whatever, I'll just get another one. So it's almost like a dime a dozen, So again, no, having a GPS drone does not make you a better pilot. But it does bring you into the space. It's the cheapest way too, and it's the best way to avoid crashes. And because this thing here, this is going to crash a lot. All right. And every pilot should spend time in a simulator. Yes, I do believe that. You should spend some time in the simulator to get started, specifically with this drone here with the FPV. That way you mostly get the controls down, right? The pitch, the yaw, the arming button, disarm, crash flip, your modes, all that stuff, right? You can set them all. You can even mess it with Betaflight, which is the software, and you can get it going, and you're good to go. I don't know so much about these ones. I mean, it's okay, but honestly, the best thing for this is to fly it. That way, because if you take this thing up, I'm gonna speak for about, I don't know, 90% of the world, that if you go up 300 feet around where you're at, most likely there's nothing around. So when you put this thing up 300 feet, then you can just sit there, right? You could sit there, you can put the drone up there, and then you can mess with all the stuff that's on the controller, right? So that way you can figure out the buttons, you'll know your pitch, your yaw, all that stuff, right? And so, and what, your exposure wheel, your gimbal wheel, power levels, all that kind of stuff. Return to home, all those things, right? That's what is would kind of be good for a simulator on the DJI, but honestly, you got to get out and fly the DJI. Now with this, I wouldn't get too simulator heavy. I mean, I've had people that come into my shop and they say, "Oh, I have 100 hours on the simulator." Then all of a sudden they're taking off a tiny whoop and they're crashing into the walls left and right. The physics are not exactly the same, right? You cannot create exact physics inside a simulation when it comes to FPV. So when you got to get it out there. That's why I always recommend getting involved in a tiny whoop situation, because then that's going to get you the feel of the drone. You don't fly the drone, you feel the drone. You get immersed with the goggles. You got to be able to figure all that out really, really before you even go outside, right? Because when you go outside, for a lot of us, there's repercussions. Even if you are in the rural space, you could lose your drone, right? You could lose it in the grass, or it can hit a tree or something like that. So you want to start inside, even if it's in a room or anything like that. Because, like I said in the last podcast, I even started flying in my studio apartment, and it was beneficial. Just getting the switches down, taking off, flying around, all those kinds of things. Then you can gradually start going outside and go from there, because there's people out there, there's things out there, and then there's a lot of repercussions once you hit the outdoors. Um, let's see. Camera drone pilots can benefit from learning FPV. Absolutely, 100%. Because FPV again is the gauntlet that you got to get through, right? And the DJI is a little bit easier. Now, don't get me wrong. FPV pilots should learn to fly this too. I've had FPV pilots that say they've only flown this one before, and I said, okay, well, we got a job. You got to fly this one, and they don't know how to fly it. They're too aggressive. They don't know how to float around. They don't know how to get cinematic shots, right? This here, I'm asking for big cinematic shots, right? This one here, I'm asking for dynamic, aggressive, up in your face shots. There's two totally different tools, two totally different situations, right? This here, this is kind of like what you would say would be kind of like your finishing hammer or something like that. Something nice and smooth, Where this one here, this is going to be, a jackhammer or something like that. A hammer drill. It's gonna get right in there, get in your face, be aggressive, and get the job done. All right. And you don't need the most expensive drone to become a skilled pilot. Absolutely. You should totally start at the bare minimum. Go on Facebook Marketplace, go to Amazon, go to Temu, get those drones. They're going to be crappy, but again, you're going to learn the switches. You're going to learn how to do stuff. And that's the most important thing out of the whole situation, is just learning. And then one step at a time, the next step, the next step, the next step. That's all it is. You got to give yourself time. You got to be patient with yourself. I know you see the videos online. I know you see people chasing Ferraris. I know you see people, flying around sailboats and diving down buildings and movies and all that stuff. And that is going to be you, but you just got to wait. You got to give yourself some patience, right? That's the spice of life, I guess. Variety and patience. So again, why do you want to do drones, right? That was in our last episode. Why do you want to be involved in drones, right? Do you want to be cars only, aggressive, upfront, get those videos? Then you're going to have to start working on this, and you're going to have to start working on it today. Go to Drone Champs, thedronechamps.com, book a lesson, and we'll get you started. and we will tell you which drones to buy. The goggles, the controller, the drone, everything. This year, just go out and get it and get your skills up quick. Start taking pictures, start taking videos, and get it out fast. Again, do you want to be a photographer? Do you want to be a filmmaker, racer, hobbyist, commercial pilot, inspector? Right? It just depends. Every drone, just like every tool, is different for every job. So you got to make sure that you are knowledgeable on what it is that you can bring to your client, your customer, or your boss to make sure that you get the job done more efficiently and you can either keep your job or get the big payday. Now, again, if I was going to start today, again, I just told you, go cheap. Cheap first, then go up. That's how I started anyways. The first drone I bought 13 years ago was from Walmart. It was a foam drone. It was so crappy. It had a little camera on it, and it would wiggle. It had no GPS hold, no position hold, nothing, right? And it would just woo, 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 all over the place. And it had a little camera, and I could take little videos and little pictures, and that was it. And I thought it was the most amazing thing in the whole world, right? I'm up in the air taking pictures, these little videos, all this stuff. And now I'm here. We got 4K, 8K, 16K. I mean, people are putting Komodos on Cinelifters and all that kind of stuff. And that might be you one day. You just got to give yourself the time, the patience, and the credit. Again, you got to be able to fit your budget. You got to be able to take time for training, simulators, accessories, and learning path. Those are all critical things that you're going to learn either way. You know, do you buy the little, I had it with me here. Oh, do you buy the little bag that comes with it? Do you buy the GPS case, you know, or GPC case, you know, all that kind of stuff. The hard case, are you going to get, what kind of controller are you going to get with FPV? Are you going to go with the Pocket that's a cheap little form factor? Are you going to go with the big one, the TX16S? Are you going to go with the medium-sized one with the TX12? What are you going to pick? Are you going to pick a Tango? Or are you picking the DJI controller? What are you going to do? What are you going to pick? What's a form factor? It's a lot of different options. So you got to educate yourself first, and that's what's going to save you the money. Just don't go out and buy a Nevada right away. You got to be able to get yourself around some experts, some people who know what they're doing, know what they're talking about, and be able to help you reach the goals that you want to do inside the drone industry. And again, you know, you want to be able to choose what's best for you, right? You want to be able to choose what pathway is best for you. Everybody's pathway is different. I can't give you the same one I had because things didn't even exist at that time that when I first started. Yes, they did have FPV. Yes, they did have some drones, but everything was so early, and everything was very, very short ranged and things like that. It's really progressed as far as the lead end stuff has gone. But of course, here in 2026, everything's banned and who knows what's next and all this other stuff. But I do know what's next. And we're going to be drone racing there too. NDL, we're going to be having the Super Drone Bowl, the Comets versus the Fireflies. The final match. This is going to be it. The best out of 5 months. It's a hard trek. So come on down, buy t-shirts, buy some hats, support us. Check it out on the website. And as always, we'll see you on the next podcast.